Hello, Grace. Welcome to our reading plan. This is May 19th reading. We're looking at Psalm 79 through 82. Now, these Psalms are a continuation of the Psalms of Asaph. And as I said a couple days ago, when you get into the late 70s, early 80s of the Psalms, you're reaching the end of book 3 of the Psalms. And there's a specific theme in book 3, and that is this exile language. And you see that in Psalm 79, that there's this deliverance that they're crying out from God for. And that kind of betrays who might have written this psalm. Now, it is attributed to Asaph, but scholars know that Asaph did not live during a time period of exile. He lived during David and Solomon's reign, which is maybe the golden era of Israel at the time. So in verse 1 of 79, it says, "Pagan nations have conquered your land, your special possession." That would never have happened during David and Solomon's reign. And so this is probably written by the sons of Asaph, the musical guild based upon him. Now, this is a psalm that maybe you don't connect with. As I said before, we can pray these psalms for ourselves, but we can also pray them for our brothers and sisters around the world. And this is a psalm where you can do that. You can think about our brothers and sisters in North Korea, in China maybe, in the Middle East, in some northern countries of Africa, and you can pray for them as they're experiencing some intense persecution, that they need deliverance. Lord, don't forget them. Don't forget my brothers and sisters. Pour out your wrath on those who are abusing and persecuting these people. And Lord, give them the joy of your salvation. So that's what we can do in this psalm. Now, Psalm 80 is an interesting psalm in the fact that we don't see that word interlude, as we said before. Now, this is why the word interlude is a difficult word for us to understand, because most of the time you'll see the word interlude in musical psalms. And this is a musical psalm where we do not see that word interlude. And as I said yesterday, that is actually the word Selah. In every other English translation, they do not translate that word because they just don't know what it means. NLT is taking a guess at it, saying it's interlude. But Psalm 80 you kind of wonder, why isn't that word in there? And maybe it's because the interlude space is for the priest to say something, or for there to be a guided meditation based on what that is. And maybe this psalm is not a part of a guided meditation or something like that. But you see the challenge when it comes to translating that word Selah, or as NLT translated it, interlude, because it just doesn't always fit with what we're looking at. Now, the word shepherd is found here, and it calls back, and again, this is Asaph we're talking about, and because of the shepherding life of David and Moses, there's this, that it signifies this closeness that God had with them, and he's asking for that closeness again, that he would turn his face and shine upon them again. And so that is what this psalm is about. God, turn your face to us. We know that you are powerful. And this phrase, heaven's armies, comes up. And it's a psalm of confidence. Confidence in who God is, and confidence that if God wanted to, he could send his army to destroy everything, but maybe he has a different purpose in store for his people. Now, Psalm 81 is a psalm of praise, but there's also a warning in it. And let's look at verse 8. It says this: "Listen to me, O my people, while I give you stern warnings, O Israel, if you would only listen to me. You must never have foreign God. You must not bow down before a false god." Now, the reason I wanted to bring that up is because that word listen in verse 8 is the word Shema. And so what the psalmist Asaph is drawing our attention to is Deuteronomy, which is the "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one." And it says you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And it says you must obey the commands, the next verse. And so it's drawing our attention to the Shema, because that's when the law is given to Israel. And he says, and he draws us again, you need to follow the law. Part of the law is not having foreign gods above Yahweh. And so it draws our attention back to the fact that we need to follow the law of God, and specifically Israel needs to follow that law. And it's warning them, if you don't listen to me, you are going to be like the nations that I sent out before you. Now, lastly, I want to look at Psalm 82 for just 1 second. And what I want to look at is verse 6 and 7. And the reason I'm looking at this is because Jesus quotes this to the teachers of the law when they say, oh, he's called himself God in John 10, I believe 34, where he says that he called himself God. That's blasphemy. And Jesus points back to this psalm. So again, it shows that Jesus had an intimate knowledge of the scripture, intimate knowledge of the Psalms. And so he's able to point back and say, doesn't it say in your scripture, you are gods, that you are children of the Most High? So he's saying this, you shouldn't be surprised that I'm calling myself this, because the law says that. That's what Jesus is telling to the teachers of the law. But then we see that there's this, but you will die like mere mortals and fall like every other ruler. If, and the reason I say if is because before it's talking about God being sitting on the throne, the judgment seat, and he's bringing to judgment everything. And he calls those people to uphold, right, rescue the poor and helpless, deliver them from the grasp of evil. But these oppressors know nothing. They are so ignorant. And so he's saying, you say this, you are gods and you are children of the Most High. And that is true if you were to do what I said, which is to follow the law. And so God will judge those who do not follow the law. And so that's what this psalm is communicating. God is the cosmic judge, and he will not let the poor, not let those who oppress the poor go unpunished. And I hope you got a lot from this reading today. Again, you can pray these psalms for yourself and for others, and each of them should really impact us and call us to more obedience to Jesus. God bless you. See you later.